I'm very pleased to have on the Phoenix Zone today Mr. Paul Chin from the Department of Environment. On today's episode of All Things Cayman, we will be talking about a very important animal in Cayman. After all, we were called Las Tortugas. Today, we're talking turtles. Before we get into our conversation about turtles, will you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at the Department of Environment?
Alrighty, Phoenix. Well, it's a pleasure here to be on the Phoenix Zone, and thank you for having me. My name is Paul Chin. I'm a research officer here. I dabble in a little bit of everything where it's coral reefs, lobsters, turtles, fish, anything to do with the marine life. I've been here for about 15 years. Turtles is actually one of my specialties. Is actually how I started out with the department. I started out as an intern helping out with the turtle program in 2004. So if you think about a nest, when a turtle lays a nest, she digs a massive hole in the ground. It's almost like a little mini meteor hit the beach. And inside that hole is another hole because those little back flippers that she has can actually turn 180 degrees. And it's like little excavation tools, little shovels that takes the sand out. And then she makes a chamber about the size of a basketball and she drops about 100 to 125, sometimes over 150 eggs. It all depends on how she's feeling, I guess, but when she drops those eggs, if you think about the impacts of how deep that nest is, because sometimes turtles can go the length of my arm, which is about 3 feet deep. And if you think about how deep that is, that also affects it. So if it's close to the surface, you get hotter temperatures. So almost all the nest could potentially be female, right? But if it's lower down, the cooler eggs will yield more males. Some would think that, it's a little controversial. Some would think that it's better to have more females because they can lay more eggs. Some think that it's better to have more males because then it's more chance of fertilization. But a 50-50 split is always best.
So, I've heard this on a documentary before, like when they're born and they get out their eggs. Sometimes they go to the road instead of the ocean or something.
That is absolutely correct.
And why do they do that? Because sometimes they get run over too.
Right, exactly. You're absolutely correct. That actually happens here often in the Cayman Islands. We're actually trying to minimize that right now, because what happens is that the turtles use the moon and the stars reflecting off the ocean, and it's almost like a sign to say, hey, you got to go this way.
Like a path, kind of.
Exactly.
Is the street light kind of like this?
That's exactly what happens. So the street light mimics what the moonlight would look like. So they get confused and they end up going in the wrong direction. Now, how we're trying to combat that is that turtles' eyes are specific to a certain wavelength. So the more amber colored lights they don't see that very often, or they can't see it at all. So red lights, amber lights are usually the lights that they can't see. So what we're trying to do now is trying to get all those development, the condos, the hotels, the homes that are in those densely nesting populated areas. We're trying to have all the external light fixtures changed out to those amber fixtures, so that way once the babies are born, the only indicator to get them to go in the right direction is the moon and the stars, as opposed to any other artificial lighting. And it not only affects the babies, but it also affects the moms. Just this year, we've had a number of turtles get misoriented. Moms that are coming up to lay end up in gardens somehow, and they're walking around the entire night. I think we've had eight turtles that were walking around in gardens this year so far. We've had 3 of them fall into pools because all these hotels they have pools right near to the beach. So they walk up the beach and then they get misoriented and fall into a pool. So they're swimming around all night in a pool, and then we've also had instances where turtles, another 3 turtles were found wound up in fishing line and so forth. So not only does light impact the babies, but it can impact the moms as well.
I wonder what it'd be like if the people just wondered, how did a turtle get in my backyard?
Exactly. There was actually a funny story. If you have the time, I'd love to share that with you and your viewers. There's an instance where a turtle fell into a pool, and a gentleman went for his morning exercise swim. And he never noticed the turtle because every time he went from one end of the pool to the other, the turtle would be at one end and see him coming and swim to the other end. So they would cross paths, but he would never notice until he finally looked down and saw this massive 400-pound turtle swimming in the pool with him. So needless to say, it scared him quite tremendously. He gave us a call, and I was actually involved in that rescue. We had to fish her out, get her up on her back, and end up taking her out to the sea.
So, since turtles have been appearing in pools, how they can survive the chlorine water too?
Right, they can. Turtles are air breathers, so they can breathe. They have to come to the surface to breathe. So the chlorine, obviously, I'm sure you've been in a pool a few times before. The chlorine affects your eyes.
Yeah.
Similar to a turtle, it will affect the eyes. It's not natural. It's not meant to be in the eyes. So it can irritate the eyes, and they can expel that from their glands and so forth. So they can survive. We've had instances where babies have been swimming around all night as well and end up in the skimmers. I don't know if you're familiar with what a skimmer is. It's a little door where all the stuff floats and goes in. So they end up in there, and we have to fish them out as well. But they can survive because they're still in water. They're not drying out. That's crucial. And they breathe air. So all they have to do is come to the surface, pop their head up, and grab a gulp of air, and they're great. They should be fine. The DOE has been subsidizing a lot of these hotels and condominiums and homes that are along the nesting population beaches, with switching out those light fixtures I mentioned earlier about the artificial lighting, and turtles going the wrong direction and getting misoriented. We are now trying to change out all of those lights, and we have actually a lot of our misorientations have been minimized because of it. And we just want to say a big thank you to all the companies and homes and so forth that have actually has participated in our turtle-friendly lighting program. And we'd like to extend an invitation to the other companies, our properties that haven't yet engaged in it, to try to change out the lighting to help with the turtle population. All right, Mr. Phoenix, thank you very much for having me on your show, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for talking with me.
No problem. Thank you very much.
I'm very pleased to have on the Phoenix Show today Ms. Jerica Wood from the Department of Environment. So could you please tell us a little bit about your role and yourself at the Department of Environment?
Okay, so I'm a Senior Environmental Management Officer with the Department of Environment. My role is to do with reviewing any development that could have an impact on the environment in general. And a part of that role is reviewing turtle-friendly lighting plans and working on a turtle-friendly lighting EPF, which is the Environmental Protection Fund, retrofit program with properties that want to switch to turtle-friendly lighting. But yes, I like to say that our unit, the Environmental Management Unit, helps give the environment a voice. So all of the units in the DOE work towards conserving our natural habitat. And we like to take all of the data that we get from the marine unit and the terrestrial unit and the turtles, and we put them all down in words. And when we get development applications for either the planning department when you have developments on land, or the cabinet when it's developments that are seaward of the high water mark, so like in the water, we put our comments and thoughts and recommendations for the environment into words in a review to give them.
I know this light is supposed to help the turtles. How does it help the turtles?
Okay, so this is an example of turtle-friendly lighting. And turtle-friendly lighting describes a type of lighting that effectively and safely illuminates beachfront properties for their owners and their guests without causing harm to turtles. And it does this by following a few key principles. So in general, turtle-friendly lighting should not illuminate the sandy beach. So we want the property to be nice and bright and comfortable, but we want the beach to be dark for turtles. And 3 key principles of turtle-friendly lighting is, the first one is keep it long, and that refers to the wavelength of light. So if you can see here, the wavelength of light is it's showing like an amber color.
Yeah.
So I like to think of it as the rainbow, and the general rainbows that you see on the outside of the rainbow, you'll have colors like red, orange, yellow going in, and those are longer wavelengths. So that section of the rainbow tends to be longer. So the technical term would be 560 nanometers and above. And yeah, those show these amber colors. And the second principle would be to keep it low, and that refers to the height of the fixture, the direction of the light, and the level of illumination. So this fixture is like low to the ground instead of being like a big pole light.
Yeah.
And the level of illumination would be a lower wattage and provide lower lumens. So you want enough light to do the task that you need successfully, whether that's lighting a pathway or lighting a balcony, but not an excess of light. And the third principle is to keep it shielded. So when you're standing on the beach, you shouldn't be able to see the point source or the bulb. So as long as you're stood on the beach and you can't see the bulb, then it would be safer for turtles. So this fixture has the bulb up into the fixture, so you don't see the bulb from standing on the beach. Some of the worst offenders would be like big, what we've referred to as globe lights, those big circles that have like no shield. You can see the glowing lens, and those would be probably the worst for turtles. Yeah, so those are the 3 key principles of turtle-friendly lighting.
Thank you so much for explaining why turtle-friendly lighting is so important.
Thank you.
We're on the Phoenix Line, all things Cayman. Please like and subscribe.